Okay, for this lesson, what you guys are going to be doing is applying a filter to your image. So I have an image I've already opened up in Photoshop that I've gone ahead and made some adjustments to, and I'm just going to walk you through the process of then going and adding a filter. The first thing that you're going to want to do is make a layer copy of your original image. So I want to make sure that I preserve the properties of my photo as it is now. So I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this, and I'm going to apply my filter to that copy, so it's really easy for me to go back and get rid of that filter if I decide that I don't like it. So to do that, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut of Command and the letter J. And when I hit Command and the letter J, it's going to go ahead and make a copy of my background layer in my layers panel over here. So from here, I'm going to go ahead up to my computer menu, and I'm going to choose the filter drop-down menu. And from there, I'm going to go down and choose filter gallery. So within the filter gallery, you have all these different folders that have all different types of filters that you can add to your image. Some are really wonderful and some are not so wonderful. So we're going to play around with those, but the first thing I want to show you is how to get your image to show up in the screen completely. Down at the bottom of the filter gallery dialog box, there's a little drop down that you can click on, and I like to use this fit and view option. And when I do that, it's going to go ahead and scale my image so that I can see the whole thing and how the filter is affecting the picture as a whole. So then as I apply a filter, as I click on it, it's going to go ahead and render the photo with that filter application. But just because I've clicked on it doesn't mean that it's done. Over here, I have some options to play with. For example, I've got a slider here that controls the width of the pencil. So whether you have a finely sharpened pencil or more of like a crayon type approach. The stroke pressure, so how hard you would simulate someone drawing, either with light pressure or with harder pressure. And then you also have this paper brightness that you can play with. And depending on the size of the file, sometimes it takes some time for it to load, but you can have it. If I pull that slider to the right, it's like I've drawn on a white paper. And if I pull the slider then to the left, it's going to put a darker paper, kind of like if you were doing a pastel drawing on maybe a black construction paper or a black pastel paper. So you have all these different options you can go through, and each of the filters looks different and has different editing capabilities. But once you find the one that you're going to use, and what you guys are going to be doing for this assignment is you're going to use the same photo and you're going to apply all the filters in the filter gallery to that photo so that you can see how each of them works, so you can better choose for specific images what you think you would like. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this first one, and I'm just going to go in order so it's easy for me to keep track of what I'm doing. So I've applied colored pencil. I have to say OK to actually apply that filter. So now over here in my layers palette, you can see my layer 1 has the filter applied to it. If I hide that layer by clicking on that eyeball, I can see that my original image is still safely saved down below. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to go up to my Photoshop menu, go to File. I'm going to choose the Save As option. And we're going to make a contact sheet of this. So if I want to leave it as a Photoshop file, that's totally fine. But I'm going to go and save it out to my desktop so it's easy for me to find. And I'm going to save it as the filter that I just applied, which was colored pencil. And I'm going to hit the save button, and I'm going to go ahead and say OK to that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this layer, and I'm going to then start with the next filter. So to delete this layer, I can hit the delete key on my keyboard, or I can drag it down to the trash can down here at the bottom of my Photoshop window. There we go. And then I'm going to start over. So I'm going to hit Command J to make a layer copy of my background. I'm going to go to Filter. I want to choose this second filter gallery option. This top one that's now available is going to default to the last filter I used, so it's going to apply the same effect, and I want to do the next one. So I need to choose Filter Gallery. I'm going to fit my photo into the view. I'm going to choose the next filter, which is cutout. I'm going to give it a second to process. And then I can go ahead and I can play with the number of levels, the edge simplicity, and fidelity to get it to look the way that I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So now I've gone ahead and applied that filter, and I would go through the same saving process. Save as. I'm going to call it cutout and save it. So you're going to repeat this for all of those filters. And then when you're finished with that, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and make a contact sheet of those images. You can go ahead and use 5 columns for your setup and then get that submitted to me on Edmodo. So happy filtering.